myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. It feels alright.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. It's starting to feel like Christmas. The Greg's Christmas cake is already out. The Dog and Parrot has got the War is Over flag outside its premises. And we've got the two Ronnies with us, sponsored by Monster, on the right-hand side, who are clearly on the drink already.
Can you put it on the bottom of the screen?
No sign of the ghost of Christmas past, yes. Steve Hasty, he's in Dubai, but he can't get a connection. And I'm sitting here as if I'm doing a hostage video in my office, wanting to be released for Christmas. As for Keith, well, he looks like a good Bond villain, doesn't he? With his all in black, or the man from Milk Tray. So it's a happy, it's almost happy Christmas. So we're getting in the festive spirit. You'll have seen the flyer. Plenty to talk about. No Newcastle United games, of course, but the World Cup has started, and after all of the stories that we expected about how this World Cup shouldn't have gone ahead, and this is a disgrace, blah 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 blah. I've got to be honest, lads. I'm actually getting into it. I've thoroughly enjoyed the first week of this World Cup. There's been some fantastic games. There's been some big shocks. England have managed to score 6 goals in the first game. Wales, I'm not going to laugh at them as Chip as is in the chat. That sending off cost them the game. They've still got a chance. He who laughs last laughs longest and all that, and you just never know what's going to happen. But all in all, it's at winter. It's wrong. That's the worst thing about this World Cup for me. But I'm getting into it just like I do every other World Cup. And come on, England tonight. But Keith, your take on the World Cup so far, mate?
I enjoyed it. Pleased I didn't go. Pleased I wasn't out there. There's nothing I've seen over there that makes us want to be there, apart from the atmosphere. But the hotels, the £195 night tents, the drink stories. I loved it when I saw the video of the Scouse lads who were them went back to that palace, and where they were playing around with somebody else's baby lions or baby tigers or whatever. It was awesome. And to go away in 28, 30 degrees of heat and watch a football tournament's going to be perfect. And I would like to say, truthfully, I'd like to say Wales scored today because they're a hellish crowd in there, and they don't have now to celebrate. So I don't know. I expected them winning, but I find some of the results bizarre. I can't believe that Japan, turned over Germany. I can't believe that Saudi Arabia turned over Argentina, and that adds to the magic of the World Cup. I think there's been a lot of stop-starts. I think to not mention the way they banned everybody with the rainbow hats, and then to let them in with it is just bizarre. If you can't sort that out with sort of 8 years of leeway, something's wrong. That FIFA and them should have sorted out, as they should have sorted out that they were Budweiser. So there's a lot of organisation faults. The thing is, I've enjoyed watching some of the football. Disappointed that Bruno didn't start. I just look and think any man that puts Bruno behind Fred, you know what I mean? It's like he's trying. He's a much better player, but they came alive. When you look at teams like Germany and Argentina, they've got 0 points. It's making it interesting, but I'm sure that'll get corrected next 2 games. I'm sure that Argentina will win the next game, and I'm sure Germany will come back. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the humour of listening to a very twisted and warped mind of Graham Souness. He's on a world stage. Why he got invited, I never know. He's on a world stage, and then he's talking about Newcastle again, it's pitiful. Roy Keane's done the same when he's talking about Ronaldo, and Gary Neville's had his 2 penny. But if they're all so bothered about all the sports washing, why they report back home? Why they stay back home and just report it over here? So for me, enjoyed the football, enjoyed some of the underdogs. I think the organisation looks like piss up in a brewery time, but it's good fun, and I'm looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, welcome, Steve. How is the weather? People asking if you've been burnt alive out there, mate, with the temperatures, but it's clearly not. You're there, mate. I'm glad you got there safe and sound. How is it?
It's very pleasant. A pleasant 29, I think it was, this afternoon. but I spent most of my time in the air-conditioned Dubai Mall, drinking iced coffee, as you can imagine. No, it's a beautiful place, absolutely fantastic. It's just when I eventually meet these two in an hour or so, looking forward to it. But I'm down here at the marina, actually. I don't know whether you can't see out the background, but down at the marina, they keep flashing the score on the big wheel, telling you how things are getting on. I understand that Qatar got beat 3-1. I was going to try and do a lightly lads and trying to avoid the score on that one and see if I could pick up catch up on it later. But you cannot have everything, can you?
Is there any dogs there, Steve?
Loads of dogs. Loads of dogs. Loads of cats as well.
I've got the hairs done. I've all had the hair done for the event.
No, they're all shaved like you because it's too hot for them.
But they're all inside getting the hairs part and ready for the show.
Exactly.
He's gone, aye. The host's disappeared.
The host, because he's dreading bringing you on. So I'd like to introduce Mitch and Stuart Penman, fresh from warm-up process. Come on, lads.
Very good warm-up. We're now very warm and very ready to meet Mr. Hastings.
Yes, it's known as warm weather training, a mid-season warm weather training. I can't believe it.
Did you see the Mackems kicked off down the Jebel Ali today?
No, I didn't.
How did we miss that comedy show? If I'd known the bloody comedy show was on, we could have gone down and had a laugh.
That one sent off and everything, and apparently the owner and the manager had to come on the pitch and calm everybody down.
Seriously?
That's right. Yes, I think it was Gooch that was sent off, whoever he is. They took the Sartori and Kirill have had to go on and try and calm things down. But can you imagine it? And they're playing a Saudi Arabian team of all things in Dubai. What's going on there?
Is that Sportswashing?
Ready to go must be having an absolute mare tonight, mustn't they? Yeah.
Is that Sportswashing?
Keith, can it be Sportswashing because the Mackems didn't wash? So, tell me out about that.
Can I ask you a very pertinent question? Did they manage to win easily?
They won, but I don't know what the score was. But I do know it was bad tempered, I think is the polite way to put it.
Yeah.
I'll speak to me. I've got a mate who works down there. I'll speak to him tomorrow. I'll find out what the crack is.
I cannot believe we missed it. We could have had an absolute pound and laugh if we'd gone down there and watched that. You know, it would have been like the Comedy Store in town. We'd have never stopped laughing for 90 minutes. But guys, I've missed a few of the games. I watched a few games on the plane on the way over. Saw some interesting football being played, but also understand that Neymar's out for the next couple of games. At least that's what I'm hearing over here. I don't know whether you've heard similar. I'm just wondering whether that's going to give Bruno an opportunity or not.
Seen a picture of his ankle and it doesn't look good. I've got to say, his ankle looked like it was in a right mess last night.
Yeah,
you flew, Stu. You flew over there, Steve, and the general feeling people over here was that he's being overhyped. There's a lot of people saying that they didn't think he was worth the hype and the money and everything else that comes with him, and thought there was other people on the Brazilian side who played better. So a lot of people were questioning whether he's been overhyped and whether he's as good as what people say. But I don't know. And that was after the Brazil performance.
Steve's had a power quit, apparently.
Oh, right. I think what's interesting about the Brazilian setup is that obviously the manager feels as though playing Richarlison rather than Jesus is his preferred option, and he sees him as more of a mobile striker. And I think the fact that they don't have a recognised striker, we know that. And with Neymar playing as deep as he does, Jesus does tend to pull out on the wing. So I think he's proved right yesterday, wasn't he, with Richarlison getting 2 goals. That overhead kick, absolutely tremendous, you know. And
he wasn't too shabby, was he?
Slagging. No, I mean, he's been getting a little bit of slagging, hasn't he, as well? You know, a few people question whether he should be in instead of Jesus from the performances that he's been putting in this season.
Steve, who was the name of the lad that's playing up front for Brazil with the blonde dyed hair?
You Richarlison.
So they do have a recognised striker.
Is that him?
You reckon?
Hey!
Yes, the Jägermeisters are flowing.
Yeah.
He wasn't too.
Sponsored by Monster and Jägermeister, is it?
He wasn't too shabby though, was he? I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
like if anyone put an argument up, this Jesus you keep talking, was that Jesus who plays fast?
Yeah,
Is that
aye, they all
Jesus?
still are, aye.
If you're born where I'm from, it's called Jesus, not Jesus.
Oh,
But,
the fun stuff on lads behave.
Oh, don't worry, I've been listening on my phone. Bloody hell. I know I look like I'm in a cell, lads, but well done. You kept it going. You kept it going.
The ratings went through the roof when you went off.
They definitely did. I can see there's more people watching since I went off. Keith, if this carries on, I might have to borrow your candles.
There's loads of Brazilians watching now, that's why.
What a classic. Unbelievable. Anyway, just carry on, lads.
Yeah,
Well, we're trying to get our friends in the bottom corner. They're now on screen because they've only been half on. So over to Mr. Penman, Mr. Mitchell.
Hang on, busy.
Hang on, we're busy.
Right.
Hey, guys, I mean, obviously, as I said earlier, I've missed a lot of what was going on, but I understand there was another comedy show. We talked about the Sunderland comedy show, but there was another comedy show on earlier as well, wasn't there? I don't know whether I'm presuming you've watched how the Welsh got on.
Yeah, do you know what? To be fair, I really have been busy at work, which is a good thing. And the only games I've seen in this World Cup was the last half of the England game, and then the second half of the Brazil game last night. But I got to Dubai today, so I managed to watch the full Wales game. And at the time, it was 0-0 each. It was a cracking game. But Iran were the better team, and Wales just, I don't know, you can't say they could freeze, but they didn't seem confident that they could win. I think they were consumed by the rainy passion, which is very, very unusual for Wales, because they do play with a lot of passion, don't they? They play above themselves, because if you look at the demographics, probably not the right word, but where their squad are league position-wise, you'd probably say they're a top championship team. And it's similar to Scotland. It's the passion that creates these extra results, but they're just simply froze today. The passion was off living with it.
My last patient today was Welsh, and so while she was in the chair, I had the game streaming on the telly on the side of the chair for her. So I caught the first off while I was working, and then I had a meeting after work. I went to that, and as I went into the meeting, it was still 0-0. I thought, okay, 0-0. Come up to the meeting, they'd lost 2-0, and I'd think, what the hell's gone on there? But it just shows you how, at this level, you kind of take out for granted, and everything works on fine lines, and I think we've seen that with so many games, and I think that at one time, you remember when you had like Zaire turning up and doing that crazy thing with the free kick and what have you, and getting scalped and what? That just doesn't happen anymore. Everybody's far more football aware. Everybody's far more clued up. The bar's higher for the top teams, but the bar's even higher for the bottom end teams as well. Even today with Qatar against Senegal, when they pulled it back at 2-1, they were still in the game. They were having a damn good go. I think if I was Qatar's manager, I would tell them at the start of every game they're 2-0 down, because they seem to play better once they go 2-0 down.
You make a good point there, Mitch. You talk about Saudi, teams, but like Saudi Arabia, not the top 50 in the world, and for them to go on there, and they didn't just beat Argentina; they beat them fair and square. It wasn't the fluke. If you watch that game,
what they did, Keith, for me, was what we did to teams last season.
Yeah.
When we didn't necessarily have the same quality as them, but we had more energy and more desire. And then that second half, that's exactly what Saudi did.
Yeah.
They took the lead of Eddie Howe's playbook and played high press, high energy, and by God, they deserved it.
When you look at them and you like the next game they play, I think 16-5, more than 3-1 to win against a lesser team. So they everyone's classing that Saudi will get turned over in the next game, but if they played just like they played against Argentina, there's no reason why they shouldn't qualify. Because
I thought the Canadians did exactly the same when in their game against the Belgians. And what was really good about that game was with the camera angle, with the higher pitch on the camera, meant that you could actually see the movement between the interchange between a back five and a back three. You immediately saw when they went with three how the two dropped into the middle. and then you saw the 3 up front, and then all of a sudden when they went 4, you saw that you could watch the lines, and for a youngster watching it, and for them to actually see, well, where's my position, where should I be playing? I found it absolutely brilliant, and that's a lad from, dare we say, County Durham, Keith, who's the manager of the Canadian team.
They're doing a great job,
absolutely, and I thought that they played on the front foot, and every team that has played on the front foot has come out with a better performance than the rest. And it's interesting that some of the so-called top-class Europeans, let's take the French, for example, they started off slowly and eventually got the result they wanted. But you look at the rest of them and you're thinking the Germans, for example, came out with an arrogance that you're not used to, or that we are used to. And then you see the Belgians. The Belgians struggled with the pace of the game. I don't think Tielemans got into the game whatsoever. But I suppose the exception to the rule, other than England, has to be the way that Spain just basically refused to give the ball to the opposition for 90 minutes.
That was crazy.
Just playing it among themselves.
But then you look at teams like Japan, and there's like players for them, like Kamada in midfield. What a player he is! Like, his contract's up at the end of this season. I'll tell you something. He could go in our midfield tomorrow. He looks class. I've never seen a lad with a balance. Ability to win the ball back, distribution, finishing, everything, and he's up for grabs. I tell you what, I'd be made up if we got him. I tell you what a footballer is. So when you look at people, I know you see people out there like come from Far East, but you look at Japan and they've got some good players, and you could sit there and say Germany had more shots or whatever, but these teams like Saudi Arabia and Japan, they it's a once in a lifetime. They're going for it. And there was a lot of criticism, typically from Paddy Power, about Gareth Bale, how much he didn't put a shift in today. You know what I mean? How that he wasn't as involved in most of the games he would have been. But I don't know. I don't think you can rule anybody out these games, and I think it's very hard to pick. I said it last week when we were talking about picking them out for the lucky six. It is hard to predict who's going to win. Some results look obvious, but if Japan versus Germany, Saudi versus Argentina weren't obvious results, then I bet there's not many coupons being won this week, put that way.
I'll tell you what else is special about it as well, is the fact that what it's shown so far is that if you play, like for example the Welsh, where they take 2 players of a certain age and also with an injury record they have in terms of Ramsey and Bale, neither of whom can probably complete 90 minutes. You go up against a team that can compete for 90 minutes, or in the case of this World Cup, 110 or 150 minutes, then you really are starting to struggle, aren't you? And we've done it in the past in England where we've taken injured players. We've got a couple. You look at Maddison, for example. Now we've got Kane, who's supposed to be struggling with an injury. We've taken Walker, who's also been carrying an injury and hasn't played since September. And this is, as a manager, you've got to start looking. You've got to think, hang on, these games aren't 90 minutes anymore. They could be, like you say, 110 minutes with all the bits that are added on.
That's the difference at the elite level.
Yeah.
These fractions that these guys work on are less than half of 1%. It really, really is that narrow. And so if you've got a team who can go to 96, 97 comfortably, up against a team who've got 2 or 3 players in who are done at 92, they're always going to prevail now because it's about the mentality. And Mourinho was right about the Asian team's mentality. We see it here. In the Asian Champions League, when the teams from Saudi and the UAE come up against Japanese and Korean teams, the thing that undoes them is that the Korean teams and the Japanese teams are far better organised and they play for the team constantly. Whereas the Arabic nations often have 1 or 2 star players who dribble it into the corner and then lose it, and then that's it. What else can you do? And so I think we're seeing a bit of that at the World Cup. Rudiger and his little stupid high step thing that he had a little giggle about. I'm really glad that bit him on the arse. I really, really am. And that's a player I actually quite like. Rudiger's a defender I would have in a black and white shirt tomorrow. He's horrible, he's nasty, he's got that bit about him. But at the same time, if you're going to be a shithouse, make sure you can back it up. And he couldn't. He absolutely couldn't.
Back to the boss.
Yeah, listen, great crack though, lads. That's what it's all about. And thanks for stepping in when the technical problems happened. Still going to be more as well. I've just had the woman coming in from the office to say that there's some issue as well with the.
Do you need 50p?
I don't need 50p, mate. You won't have 50p out there. I tell you what, I need a monster after this. Okay.
We've got plenty. We have plenty.
I need to.
Newcastle Club going.
I need to load the lookalikes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go against protocol tonight. We're going to go with tweet of the week first. Plenty tweets coming in. Zara, thanks for your contribution, and everybody else. To all employers, there is an illness circulating at the moment where the main symptom is catarrh. The illness is highly contagious. All employees must stay off work. The pandemic is due to last about 4 weeks. Yeah, very good.
Very
Did like
good.
that one. Staying with the World Cup theme. Has he got an Anton Deck in his earpiece or something? This, of course, was after Gianni Infantino's press conference where he said, "Today I feel Qatari. Today I feel Arab. Today I feel African. Today I feel gay. Today I feel disabled. And today I feel migrant worker." Yes, you all saw that little press conference he did, and what unbelievable.
I got arrested when I did that.
Unbelievable. Paddy Power, this is the best Saudi Arabian defence since Newcastle fans replying to football journalists on Twitter. FIFA World Cup. Yeah, very good, Paddy Power. Always one step ahead with a hint of sarcasm there. A hot dog and a pint at the World Cup. There you go. Very nice. Mind, the rules change every day, so that could improve. Katvar. Very good, Jose. Very good. Like that one. And this one from Oliver Holt. Newcastle in the top 4. Now this. The atmosphere in the big market must be incredible. Wow. Lots of sour grapes from Oliver this week. Unbelievable, Jeff. That guy really is. Does like the attention, I think. Sam Wallace says Qatar has the world's largest naturally occurring resource of stoppage time.
Clever.
Hasn't changed today, mate. Jonathan Anderson said, just realised that this will be the first World Cup without Laurel's shit banter and terrible jokes.
Celebrate.
Breaking news when we came on air. Qatar are bidding to host the Winter Olympics. It's a joke, folks. It's a joke. And this one from Stephen Kennedy. See, Keith has brought his own cleaning products out and is marketing with a T-shirt campaign.
Cheeky twat.
We do get some good ones on Facebook. For Stephen Kennedy again, when the Geordie dentist was asked what he'd prefer, a cup win, top 4 finish, or a good ball scratch, what did he reply? Everton have got a new shirt sponsor.
Too close to me for that one, please.
Everton have got a new shirt sponsor.
That's beautiful.
And also with Everton, breaking news, Twitter to rebrand itself as Everton Football Club as it's almost certainly going down. Staying on the Scouse Mackems theme, when you turn on Sky Sports News and you read that Pope kept another clean sheet and won a penalty shootout. That's a couple of weeks old, that one, Jimmy, but I did forget to use it last time round, so thank you for sending that one. Posey again, in with 2 this week. Nick, normal-sized arms Pope saves that. Just in response to the easy goal that Pickford let in at the weekend. Sticking on the theme of goalkeepers, this was a great photo this week. Loves a picture of John Burridge in goal yesterday, age 70, and loving it. Still looking for another league club. Unbelievable, Budgie. Still going strong, despite a few health knockbacks in recent years. This is quite good as well. Just remember that the media is only showing you part of the actual story. Very good, Ian. Keep them coming, mate. We do love those. Good to see that MPs are even copying the Newcastle United team picks now. There'll be a few lookalikes on there, but there's definitely a hasty, maybe a Steve Wraith on there. The night that a cat prevented a house fire.
That looks like a bulimic Ramsey, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And Mum, can I put the heating on? Yeah, but it's part of your Christmas present. Yeah, getting them all in early, this one. Here's a good one. What strange things have the 3 amigos bought when drunk? And this is the next question I'm going to give you, lads. Reading the instruction manual for that elephant you bought when you were drunk. We've all been there. So, keep that in mind, lads. We'll come to that one in a bit. Things that you bought when you were
Yes,
young.
Steve's went off.
Yeah, as I remember this Newcastle United away strip. I definitely did, John. Fantastic that. Great picture. There's some brilliant pictures. United, NE5 West End is usually one who puts them up, but John Maley not far behind this week with that beauty of Gaza Ramirandina in that strip. And I love the threads off the back of that one as well. It was good. We had a good team on paper. Unfortunately, the game was played on grass. You're very true, Ian. Cloughie was always a master of those kind of sayings. He says it all Ian again. I did like that one. This one was quite good as well, going away from the humour. NUFC Bible, Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously in the news, but he said, I remember Newcastle United came to Old Trafford in October. I was dragged off after 70 minutes. I called Sir Alex after the game, disappointed in my performance, but the boss reassured me that's one of the best defences the Premier League has seen. Very good, that. Very good on the Piers Morgan interview. Newcastle getting praise off their biggest nemesis, of course, Alex Ferguson, who stopped us winning the league with his team back in the 90s. I've already seen that one. This one with the Christmas theme. Everybody needs these this Christmas. It's that time of year again. Don't forget to hang your mistletoes. No toads were hurt in the production of that photo, I believe. And this one... from Jimmy, breaking news. A man was admitted to hospital today with 25 plastic toy horses inserted in his rectum. Doctors have described his condition as stable.
Yeah.
He needs to knock around with our friend Elliot. If Twitter is killed, this was Toon Poles' response to the fact that Twitter might go down, I will be running pen and paper polls in my front garden every day at midday. If there are not 34,400 of you there each day, I will feel very let down. Very good that, yeah. It was all a load of rubbish, that, mate, to be honest. Thanks to Baz for this one. Sunderland isn't just a football club, it's also a shithole. And this one. Well played, Shearer. Al Sherry, of course, a scorer in the World Cup already this time round. Missing, says Paul, urgent appeal to find missing Sunderland fans, last seen posting on social media about blood money and sport washing. Time of disappearance, 1:02 on the 16th of November 2022, shortly after Sunderland confirmed a friendly in Dubai. If found, please don't bother returning. Very true. And this one from Stephen Kennedy. Jealousy is a Macam on the left and a Mag on the right. Just suck it up, mate. Suck it up. Fair play to this fella, though, for his honesty. It's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, said Mush. Keel Watson said, if Sunderland were bought tomorrow by a Saudi billionaire who promised us European dominance and signed Mbappe, Messi and Haaland, etc., straight away, none of our fan base would bat an eyelid. Very true, mate, and always good to see that there is sensible people on both sides of the divide. A new device for people who get offended quite easily. Christ, these will sell out over Christmas. Very good. Very good. And this one is for Stu Penman from John Thompson. He says, Scotland prepare for the World Cup.
It was good, that. I did enjoy that one.
And this one from Fire and Skill. He says, hi, here's your Chief Northeast World Cup reporter coming live from the outside netty. Thanks for that, Fire and Skill. And this one, throwback to when the floodlights stopped working in the Marine versus Dunstan FA Trophy game, but luckily a Dunstan midfielder was an electrician and he sorted it, only in the non-league. I was at that game. I remember that. Fantastic. Jimmy Moore as well. This one, he says, in 1980s, I was riding my bike and I fell off and hurt my knee. I'm telling you this now because we didn't have social media then. Jimmy just proving how stupid social media can be. Also with this one, my kid's teacher tried to tell him that Asia has way more people than America, so I checked. In reality, they only have one extra guy. And this one, can anyone help? There's a bloke on Facebook who calls himself Buster, and he's driving me potty with constant private messages. Day after day, he sends me YouTube videos of the 70s glam rockers, The Sweet. Does anyone know a way? There's got to be a way to block Buster. I did like that one. This one, PIF should be nowhere near Newcastle United, says Graham Souness. Neither should he, but hey ho, said David Fothergill. And the last one today is this one. Elon Musk please buy Manchester United from Ed Morris. Thank you, everybody who sent them in. Thanks to Zara, as always. Keep your tweets coming in. We will feature yours next week if you send them in. Things you've bought when you were drunk, Keith. Anything spring to mind that you probably regret buying? You bought tickets or something? Anything?
When I was young and I once stood at one of them shows at Blackpool, you know, when the bloke stands there and says, I won't charge you a £5, I won't charge you a tenner. And then you stood there and they load you up a load of stuff. I did that, and I saw this bloke get loaded up, but I wasn't bright enough to realise he was one of the spoofs at the back, and he gets about 12 presents and guns away. So anybody else want to do the same as him? So I put my hand up and pays 20 quid and got a radio that didn't have any insides in when I got home. But my worst one when I was drunk was when I was in Thailand on a golf trip, and I bought a golf
What was it
bag.
called?
No, not like that. And I bought a golf bag, and it was in a sports shop. And my mate who lives in Singapore said to us, "Oh, if it's out the sports shop, it won't be snidey gate, it'll be proper." So I bought it. It was in the bag, and it was all these pink stuff, you know, pink golf stuff. So I thought, oh, it's for now. That's about a third of the price. And I got home to England and unwrapped it and was going to the golf game, and it was a Pong bag, Pong. So I got the piss took out for a few months with that because it was a genuine bag, and it looked like it looked like a ping bag, but it was they weren't breaking any copyright law, but it was Pong.
But table tennis, yeah.
But what I'd done is I went to a golf trip and took it with us. I didn't look at it till I got there, and then 35 people just rolled on the floor, pissed themselves laughing, talking about this stupid Mr. Patterson who does purchases when he's drunk. But that's me done, really.
Brilliant. Mitch, anything you bought when you were drunk that you regret?
Around.
Hey!
Hey! Well, I'll tell you what, full Bang & Olufsen telephone system for the house, including a mobile which was called the Serene as well. I'd been doing up the house in North Shields with my first missus, and when we got to the final bits, we put a Bang & Olufsen sound system throughout it. And while I was in signing the contract, I'd been out and had a few sherbets, and I went back to finish it off. And he said, "Can I suggest that you take the telephone system, which integrates with the sound system as well?" So I just said yes, and it added another £1,800 onto the bill, which was in 2002. So Christ knows what that would be worth now. And totally forgot because I was absolutely hammered when I signed it. And so they turned up to install everything, and there's all these bloody telephones and like my first missus, like, what the hell is this? I says, I don't know. And so she starts kicking off, and then she presents the order with my signature on the bottom of it. And then, you know, when things start to slowly come back to you, and I had to cough and say, yep, I did it, and I paid for it, and the money's already gone. So enjoy it and use it. And you know what? I hope you're still enjoying and still using it to this day.
Is that why, Neil, you say me first missus and me second missus? Do you think it's got something to do with your purchasing skills?
I think we'll leave it there before you get any legal action, Mitch. I don't want any problems. Stu, you must have bought something. We could have a book, I guess, from you.
Yeah, I'll trump that, and I'll answer Keith's question at the same time. Why I have a first and second missus? Because obviously I've bought a lot of things when I'm drunk, but one of them was a house. My first missus were in Tenerife, and I'd finished work and I'd been out on the old Pat Cash, and she was out house hunting, and then she says, "I really like it, shall I buy it?" And I said, yeah, whatever. Forgetting I'd give her the card to pay the down payment on it. And I woke up the next morning with documents where her signature was on, and I just needed mine. So I'd bought a house whilst drunk. So,
good God.
That's some session, that, mate. That's some session, that, Mr. Penn. Even for you.
That's
absolutely. Well, that's brilliant. Good stuff. You answered great. Steve Hasty swerved that. Well done, Steve.
Yeah,
and I bet you we'll just see him reappear in a minute.
I bet his was a dog. Or some hairbands.
Well, we'll talk about. Let's talk a little bit about Newcastle, lads. John Askew got in early with this. He says, afternoon all. Earlier this month, Eddie made it clear the club were not engaged in preparation for the January transfer window. How many grains of truth do you attach to these comments? He says, just to be clear, I'm not doubting our manager's integrity anyway. I'm sure you know where I'm coming from. Keith, he's not going to give away Newcastle's plans.
I don't attach any integrity at all to that, because it's a question that it's impossible to answer. I mean, when somebody asks that question, like the press asked that of Eddie Howe, he's supposed to say, "Yeah, I'm looking at him, and we've got 180 million to spend this window, and I want 3 players." It's just stupidity to ask the question. It's probably more stupidity to expect an answer. So the problem for our fans, it's right that this lad asks, because as people, we've just got to step back and say, of course they've looked at it, and of course they've got a plan in place that if Newcastle were in the top 4, and actually 3rd. Will we go again? And the answer is obviously yes. Of course we'll go again. And these are business people. These are people that's in a network of 6 clubs shitting their pants because these people from Saudi Arabia have moved in and have bought a football club that was always going to be backed better than any other club in the world. And all of a sudden, by just like Saudi Arabia beating Argentina, purely on merit, we're 3rd in the league. We're not there by fluke. We should be even higher. We've been buggered by VAR more than once. But now we are where we are, it goes without question that these owners are going to invest, if they can in January, and they'll go in big time in the summer. But they will be hoping. I'm told that Ashworth's based permanently in Qatar throughout this World Cup. He's in residence in Qatar, and he's talking to agents and players, and they're looking at everybody, you know what I mean? And the kind of players they're going to get will be people that can better the squad, but better the team. I think the next signings we make has got to be people that challenge the team. Yes, we need young ones to come in to bring the age group down, but we need people that if one of them 11 got dropped, they wouldn't complain. You need people of that standard, that they're as good or better than what we've got. And that's how you progress. And Eddie Howe's not going to give that away. But that discussion will have taken a good while ago, and his results will demand that them discussions come to fruition, because his results demand they give him more money to better where he's at. He's outperformed what he's been asked to do. So what's he get in return? He gets a reward. He gets an incentive to keep Newcastle in the top 4, and I've got no doubt at all Newcastle are working overtime and players will arrive in January.
What's your take on this, Mitch? I mean, Eddie Howe, we've discussed it before. He's not gonna give away his trade secrets, and not gonna give anything away to the opposition, is he?
Of course he's not. He's not going to come up with the press conference and say, "Yeah, we've got 400 million to spend, and we're coming for all your best players, and it's going to be great." Yeah, if he did that, that would be just nuts. I think he's right to be cautious, because do you know what? There mightn't be somebody who's available at the right price who fits what we need, and so therefore he's right to be cautious about it. I still think there'll be somebody who emerges from the World Cup that suddenly everybody goes, you know what, he'd be a great addition. Bang, let's do it. And I think they're flexible enough to do it when they said, I've said this all along, there's no set budget, there's no set boundaries. It's fluid, it's flexible. They'll have an idea who they want to speak to, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to come in January. I just see this January window as such a unique thing, with a combination of the World Cup, combination of that. There's after this January break, there's over half of the season left to play, and so instead of a January signing being able to influence less than half the season, they're going to be able to influence over half the season. This makes it a totally unique January window, and I think our owners will see this as an opportunity, not a threat. And if the right opportunity comes along, they will make it happen. But also, I don't think we should get upset if they feel that the right opportunity isn't there. But don't want them just spunking the cash up the wall for no bloody reason. That's ridiculous. No. That's ridiculous. So I'd rather keep the powder dry for another push in the summer if they feel that they're not going to get the value out of this window. However, I genuinely do think that there will be value in this window. And I think there'll be some surprises, and I think there'll be some people that will come along that will rattle the cage of the football world. and we should be in the mix because we're one of the few teams that can.
What's he laughing at now? He must be laughing at... are you laughing at Mark Byers' comment?
Mark Byers.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
You turn on me and said, I bought something dodgy in Thailand once, Keith, and it had something to do with ping. What's his name?
Ping pong ball, yeah. I don't need we don't need to go the ins and outs of that, Mark. Thanks, Stu. Just talking about Eddie Howe's plans. He's not going to announce them to all and sundry, is he? About what we're going to do. And Mitch has just mentioned there might be a surprise player from the World Cup. I mean, we spoke about on the show before. Saudi players. There could be one Saudi player that really stands out who Newcastle might bring, and that's going to be great PR for from their point of view for the country. The players. The fans will get behind a Saudi player signing for Newcastle if he's good enough.
Yeah, we answered a similar question on Wednesday, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
And I think, so I'll give the same answer. We will sign whoever Eddie Howe wants. And I think he's earned that trust, he's earned that confidence. And if he thinks that person or these people are worthy of being in our squad to enhance us, we'll go and get them. And I think we should be relaxed and confident knowing that we've got ownership and we've got a management that will do the very, very best for this club. And we haven't said that for a generation. So it doesn't matter who we link with or who agents link us with, just let's enjoy it. Because we know whoever they bring in, they've scrutinised and they believe they will make us better. And I'm really relaxed with it.
Yep, me too. Okay, we've only got about 45 minutes left tonight. Shorter show, because obviously we want to watch the England game. Lads want to get out on the drink. We are going to have the members draw tonight. And what is up for grabs? Well, it's a Newcastle United members pack, which was sent out to season ticket holders, signed by Peter Beardsley. That's your little offering tonight. And we're going to do that now. So, members, stand at the ready. Here we go. G Miles, you are the winner of that. If you're in the chat tonight, get in touch with John, in the chat. If not, then email john@nufcmatters.com to collect your prize. But G Miles, you are the winner today. Q-Tech, as always, do their weekly clue. We're up to clue 3. Just a reminder, clue 1 was the 16th of October 1929. Clue 2, 1958 to 1962. This week's clue, Swansea, 1965 to 1968. One more clue to get next week, and then the question will go into the chat. First person to get it right next week will win the prize. Thank you to Q-Tech for that. Okay, time for the day I met. The day I met, where I asked you to send in photographs of you meeting somebody from the club, past or present, and this was sent to us by George Mitchell. He went, the day I met, he said, this is my young friend Mark Sutherland. He and his family never miss a Newcastle game, home or away, and this was taken after the Southampton game. Thanks to Amanda, Mark has lots more, but he's reluctant to go public, but he let me submit this one. George, thanks for sending that over. Anybody else has any photographs with the owners or with players or managers from past and present, send them in and we will feature them on the show. David Burt sends us in. He says, what's your thoughts on the Newcastle women's game this weekend? The FA Cup against Barnsley. 26,000 tickets sold, and you can also pay on the day. My daughter is right back for Newcastle, and she is called Daisy Burt. David, it's fun for me, mate. It's fantastic. It's great to see, the women's team finally getting the recognition they deserve. It's been a long time coming, and Amanda Staveley and my dad made a point of it when they came in that was what they were going to do, and they have stuck by their word. And the chance for them to play at St James's Park on a regular basis can't be too far away. It's fantastic. It's great to see.
Just
happy days.
Back up the whole thing about Newcastle United being a family.
Yeah,
That's what we are. Far and wide, no matter where you go, we're a family and we're in it together. And backing the lasses like that is just amazing. Thanks, everyone. That's just brilliant, man.
Yeah, it is. And good luck to Daisy. Keith, it's great to see, 26,000 tickets gone. I think it'll hit 30,000, mate.
It's amazing, and it's not surprising. I think Newcastle got the record when they played. I think it was Anik or somebody at St James's. So it never surprised you that the crowd attendances are beaten in the northeast. In fairness, when you look back to the old owners, people like John Hall, they tried to do a system where they tried to have a netball team, an ice hockey team, basketball team, everything. They tried to do the whole lot, rugby team, and it didn't work. I mean, people didn't buy the big model, but I think ladies football. And if you look at Want to Be a Millionaire, what they call Get Me Out of Here. You've got that the lassie from Sunderland, and Jill. She's doing really well, and she's down to the last 4. And you can't imagine her not being in the final 2. You think she'll be her or the rugby player, Mike, I think they call him.
Yeah, she's going to win that, hands down.
I think it'll be her or him. I think it'll either be the rugby player, Princess Anne's son-in-law. What's it called? Son-in-law. It'll either be him or it'll be Jill.
Mike Tyndall. That's who you think.
Mike Tyndall. So Mike and Jill seem head and shoulders above the rest of the people in there to win it. But I think the way she talks and the way when you see her when she did the trial of the night, and there was a ball on the top of the stand, and it must have been about 5 foot in the air. It was like Rick Alston's goal. She just threw herself up and just volleyed it off the stand. But she's as fit as a lot. And I think the gap. When we won the trophy, I think ladies football got announced to the world. And I think it doesn't surprise me. And I think if Newcastle got anywhere near Premier level, like the Arsenals of the world, I think we'd have the biggest crowds. I think a lot of people would go to both. So it doesn't surprise me. And I think it's healthy. I think it's great. And I think it's been a long time coming.
Stu, good to see the women's team getting the recognition.
Yeah, absolutely. But, it's something we've repeated constantly from over this part of the world, that the owners are business people, and women's football is a growth industry, and rightly so they'll invest in it because it is only going one way, same as the men's team. It's going to be successful, so why wouldn't we want to be associated with success? And you'll see the women's team go through the leagues very, very quickly, and they will fund it. Unlike, as Keith referred to there, John Hall, he had a great vision. He just didn't have the bottomless pit of money to see it through. But, he actually did see it right at the time. But you can see the women's team within the Premier League, I think they'll be fast-tracked there. And once they're there, they'll challenge. And quite rightly, let's get them in St James's Park and let's get big crowds there. Because when it comes to things like this, I think the Geordie Nation see it as a challenge, don't they? Right, that was the record, let's beat that. And already they've sold more than the 22,000, which broke the record. And let's get it over 30,000, and then that takes it up to the next level as well. So it's fantastic. And Amanda was very, very forthright in her opinions that the women's football team is something that they will be funding and backing. And it's great that the whole club moves forward together. And again, same with the youth players. Everything that's associated with Newcastle United should be associated with success. And make it over 30,000, make it 35,000, and then we'll go again. They won't win the cup this year because they're a few leagues below, but give it a few years' time, they'll quickly catch up with the men, with the right funding, with the right backing, with the right management, and we know we've got everything in place to make this happen.
I think there was something this week that came on the Qatar coverage where they interviewed this Saudi minister, and they got this publicity which people said about them being interested in buying Man United and Liverpool. Something else he said which interested me more, and it relates to what you just said, Steve, is they talked about boxing and it was typically Dan Rowan trying to get a story out about sports washing, and they said the minister, you know, do you think? And he said, well, if we promote it, he said, in the past we've been criticised for not promoting football, not promoting boxing, and we got criticised for not doing it. Now we do it, we're getting criticised for doing it. But he focused on boxing. He said, since they've started bringing boxing fights to the region, he said there's been a 500% increase, and gyms have risen from 6 gyms, boxing gyms, to I think 80 gyms, and there was like a 500% increase uptake in boxing. But the fascinating thing, he said, 38% of the new people in Saudi going to the boxing gyms are women. That's amazing. Because if you listen to the crap in the papers, you know, women aren't allowed to be seen and aren't allowed to drive a car and all this crap. But the reality is, they go to the local boxing club, and you know, it grows 5% and 38% it's women. So people go on, like the guy for me said it on a nutshell. He said, we book it if we do and book it if we don't. But he didn't use them words. What he's saying is, we've been criticised for not doing sport, and now we're getting criticised for doing sport. So to me, if a nation progresses and changes, what more can you ask? You've just got to let them change.
Keith, I'll give you another example. Okay, the building we're sat in now is owned by a Saudi guy who is a patient of mine.
Yeah.
His family are the main importers for Porsche, Audi, VW into Saudi. Okay. Now, since they changed the rules about women driving, he was telling me the other week that the shift they've seen, they're struggling to comprehend in how purchases of cars are made, how women are far more involved in the purchases of cars, to the point where they're now employing more female sales executives because they need them, and that the women are making the decisions on what car to buy, what car to drive, and they're loving it. They're absolutely loving it. Their sales are going through the roof. They're making more considered decisions, and it was a lot of things they've seen have been totally unexpected, and they're seeing this now also in sport, whereby they're getting people involved. I think our lead would probably say that from what he does for a living as well. You know, in terms of involvement in sport and getting people involved. I know a guy out here, American guy called Ross Christ, who was well known on the radio out here. Did a lot of university teaching, and he's got a job now in Saudi about getting that nation involved in sport. They've got 35 million people under the age of 30.
It's amazing.
And they want those people involved in sport. They want them active.
Just to add to that, in Saudi a few years ago, this is where the things don't get mentioned in a positive light, but their diabetes was well above the higher global highs. The global average, it was well higher.
Saw that, yeah.
So this sports washing thing, that's a lazy thing to tag to people. It's done to make the nation fitter, make it more active. And figures Mitchell give percentages, but I'm sure it was 67% of the Saudi nation is under the age of 35.
Yeah, like that,
You know, so it's very, very important for the nation to grow the way they want it to grow, and Vision 2030, so the next generation comes through, they reap the benefits from it. And that way it's very, very proactive. But you take into consideration like the fact that we're talking about the gyms, you're talking about the football, it's done to make their nation better. It's not done to convince, because with the sports washing thing, that gets muted very easily and lazy by journalists who aren't doing the work properly. You know, if they didn't want to highlight the bad things that are happening, then they wouldn't invest in something that's globally attractive, you know, because then that sheds a spotlight on it. So if that's the case in the way they've invested and continue investing in Newcastle, and I spoke to John Allen last night about this, and it's a T-shirt that I think you should bring out. Consider me sports washed, because I actually believe that the way that they're doing it is the right way. Yes, they can improve, and yes, they are improving. And some people, you know, the old glass houses and stones and things, you know, people need to look at themselves correctly. But the diabetes level was a lot higher. So now it's improving. That's all because of the government saying this is a proactive thing, and people are following it.
Right, lads,
The
we're
other
going
thing
to...
the other thing they won't get any credit for, they won't get any credit for the fact they've improved the insurance industry because claims will have
Steve,
gone
you have your
up.
passport photo taken.
Yeah.
Stu,
I'm waiting for the guy to come on with a Hamlet cigar.
if they've got all them new women drivers, which you just spoke about, they'll have loads more insurance claims, so the insurance industry will have gone up as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good point. But anyway, just in case Steve Hasty disappears, it's time for Tune Lookalike.
Yeah, we'll go.
Steve Hasty debating Shelby. This one as well. This was from last week, but I'm not sure if I'm not sure whether I used it last week. But Steve Hasty, aka the Hasty Twins Air Supply, was quite freaky. That one, I've got to be perfectly honest.
Very.
These ones just all tend to get melded into one, like, but in no particular order. From Albert. Hasty Pooch Mashup.
There we go.
Unbelievable.
It's Patterson's insurance that's going to rock.
Sam Chipperfield, Steve Hasty looks chuffed with our Tune Lookalike. Chippers gets it in by you all the time. Didn't know Steve Hasty was a secret Villa fan. Says Devil Dog. This is a new person, Steve. Devil Dog. No idea who that is, but they're
Devil Dog.
on the list.
Yeah.
On the
yeah,
list.
He's on the list,
he's on the list. That one didn't even know we did Hasty from John. This one from Mark.
Bottom one.
Just says for Friday's show. And this one from Mark as well.
Yeah, been there, done it.
That's a new one at the top there, like a caterpillar, Steve.
Move on.
The one in the middle.
No, it's not.
The one in the middle, Keith.
An old one, man.
That's Steve's hair. Come on. Someone's done the dog's hair. How much is
You haven't even got to the bottom yet, Keith.
You know, like,
There's just another 3 from
on
Mark.
the bottom, maybe.
What about that one, Keith?
You know
Which
what
one's the most Steve Hasty lookalike? I think the one in the middle again.
Which one excites you? Which one excites you the most, Keith? How are you?
the one that gets his section aroused is the one in the middle where you take the ponytail off and like let off.
Oh, dear me, oh. Right, okay, this one.
Only the one in the middle. You're getting excited about the one at the bottom now.
Right, Albert again. Hasty Pooch Mashup 2.
Has anybody checked his hard drive yet? Jeez.
I don't know. This one.
No, that is my dog. That's not.
This one's probably he's put more effort into this one.
Oh, yeah. You're right, Steve. More effort. He doesn't need.
He's put your face on 2 things there.
I worry about this, lad. Seriously.
Andy Cooper says out for a walk today. I passed Steve Hasty just standing in a field.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
And this one, Neil Doubtfire Mitchell from Albert. And Steve Hasty on here in another sponsorship deal for Newcastle United. From Stephen Maxwell. Thanks, Stephen, for that contribution.
I think that's a new sports liaison officer, that.
Stephen Kennedy says, by that Steve Hasty fella looked buff when he was younger.
Hey.
And Steve Hasty has popped in to see Lord Sugar, says Andrew Harbert. A little bird. Okay, we're getting into the serious ones now. What can I say? Oh, no, but we're not really. Jimmy Wilson has you at the bottom. Hope this makes Hasty feel better. Richard Gere and Steve Hasty at the bottom.
You know, the serious one, Steve. Do you honestly think that any of them are serious?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Jimmy also sent in a tweet of the week there. I'm developing a fear of German sausage. I fear the worst, he says.
Oh,
very good. And this one, guess who for the lookalike?
I
don't know who that is. I put that in your bracket anyway, Steve. I just said it was you. Can you tell Steve Hasty to keep his opinions to himself, please, says Jacob.
That is my dog.
And this one, hecklers accused council of doing government's dirty work with £23 million cuts. I picked that because that looks like Steve Hasty at the bottom.
Well, I didn't like
The ginger with the ginger hair.
Look at him, keeping up. That was my contribution.
Disappointed with that. That was my neighbour, by the way. That's a
Was
that
it?
my neighbour.
Rita Oxley says, didn't realise Hasty was the Quaker Oats man. We're getting to the end of them now, Steve. Steve Hasty on a morning walk.
He's not.
These have just been ballistic this week, honestly. And Rita Oxley says, sorry, Steve Hasty.
Breathe, Keith, breathe.
Yeah, you know what? Butcher's not.
I love the way she says sorry and then just continues to say
sorry.
Aye, this is turned into the NUFC Matters version of Wonky Donkey. This.
it definitely
I
has.
love the way you come back on. I love
Hannibal
the way you
of-
come back on to defend yourself.
Hannibal of Tunisia and Sideshow Bob. That was from John Justice Allen. Very good, mate.
Keith, I want Keith to have a word with Declan Donnelly and get him on here because Declan would be just as annoyed like he was on Wonky Donkey of what he was saying. So that's your job, Keith.
Robin Thicke and Stephen Gerrard. That one's from Tom Dixon.
Well done, Tom. You're getting the hang of it.
This one, Nacho Monreal
Very
and
good.
Peter
yeah,
Crouch.
that's good.
Excellent,
Very
that.
good.
Excellent. We've had this one before. We tend to get it every Christmas. Brent, the woman off Home Alone and Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
The bird
Could
woman.
be anybody in Piers Morgan.
Rooney and Fellaini as the Home Alone Wet Bandits. Pretty good. Christmas theme. I like it. This one, Jeremy Kyle and Beaker from the Muppets.
Yep.
Very good. This one, the head of FIFA. Very good. Yeah, definitely looks like the head of FIFA. This one from this was from Tom as well. Sean Dyche and Walter White from Breaking Bad. Harry Redknapp and this old-time barrel lady.
Oh, hi.
And two there. Gareth Southgate and Grip Hook the Goblin and Big Phil Scolari and the Southern Comfort guy. Who's the Southern Comfort guy?
The one on the right.
Yeah, but I've never heard of him. He must be on an advert or something. All right, that one. Mick McCarthy and Eddie the
Very
Eagle.
good.
Yep. Yep.
Like that one. And this one. Big Al. I thought Big Al was in Qatar with the match of the day team. It does look like he's getting presented by Putin. Very good, that one, Albert. You're getting the hang of it, Albert, as well. And one for Friday night's lookalike from Pat M. Infantino and the Hood from Thunderbirds.
If the Hood had ginger eyebrows, maybe side.
Yeah. Another one from John. Kato and Son. See what you did there. Very good.
That's a throwback, that.
Definitely, aye. This one, I've had that one, yeah. This one from Rocky, lookalike, Senegal manager, and Snoop Dogg.
Oh, yeah, is that Rigobert's song?
Yeah. Yeah, he was on TV today.
We were trying to tell Stu's missus it was Snoop Dogg this afternoon, and I don't think it was.
And she believed it. Guendouzi and Mejebri, but yeah, they look alike. I might not have got the names right, but they look alike. And this one, this was apparently looks like SoCal Geordie, and that was from Iceman. Thank you for that, mate. Yeah, I've got to be honest. I've seen him a couple of times, and it does look a little bit like him, but I have included it for you. Yeah, Sideshow Bob, and that's been a couple of people sent that one in, and this one. Tom, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. Yeah, that is good. Last couple
of dogs on, please.
Nicky Byrne from Westlife and Eddie Howe.
That's
pretty good. Humpty Dumpty and Infantino.
Yes, aye. On a number of accounts, aye.
And as requested,
feel like an egg.
Steve Hasty watching the World Cup from Stephen Moore. And Steve Hasty moonlighting for Amazon.
Yep.
Thank you, Stephen. we'll give you the winning one there. You're a new face in the lookalikes, mate, and Steve doesn't get too upset when it's a new person. Keep them coming in. Keep them coming in with the lookalikes. And Steve Hasty, thanks for coming back on and being a good sport.
No problem.
Okay, England play tonight.
I've got to say, mate,
go on, Steve.
Infantino.
Yeah.
Is anybody out there not wishing that Sepp Blatter could come back after the shambles that Infantino has caused over the last week? He's making Sepp Blatter look like some sort of genius, isn't he? Dear me, as far as PR is
it's like a production line of idiots, though, isn't it? You know, because Blatter was an idiot, and this man's every bit as worse.
Yeah,
it's crackers.
Exactly.
Absolutely bonkers. A couple of people asked us in the last couple of days how the film went. It's gone very well. 3 weeks of filming, 16-hour days, but we've got it in the can. It's done. Trailer's out in January. Film will be out a bit earlier than we thought. It's going to be out in September. The first still from the film has just been released by the director at 4 o'clock this afternoon, so I'll give you a little peek. There you go. Looks like I'm in bother. Looks like I'm in bother, but that is the first official still that has been released from the film. It was a lot of fun to do, and there's a lot of Geordie talent in it, which is what I wanted, and I think you'd be very surprised. But yeah, keep an eye out in the local press, the national press, and I will keep you updated on this channel. But thanks for everybody for your kind messages and support. Okay, Keith, England playing tonight, second game, USA. Tougher test, or are you expecting more of the same from England?
Definitely a tougher test. America would dearly love to put one past us, but that whole table's wide open now. If America win tonight, they go above. Well, they go above everybody. They'll go top. They'll be above everybody, and I think if America win tonight, they'll have a much better job against Iran. But ever the optimist, I didn't think that England overstretched themselves. I think there's a lot more to come from them. I think Trippier showed. I mean, a mate of mine who's not a Newcastle fan said to me, "I didn't realise how good Trippier was till I saw him the other night." And I think as a team, I thought Wilson did well. I wish he'd built that ball as hard as he could at Grealish, but in seriously, he did. He picked them out a treat. It was a great pass, and it was a clever thing to do. But to get a 6-2 result in the last game set us up nice for tonight. But I think it'll be a difference. I don't see 6 goals or that. I think it'll be a tighter affair. I think England's got a. America will be aggressive and they'll come at us, and I think England's got to stay on the front foot, play Eddie Howe style, but I think we've got to be patient, and I think we'll win. I hope that Wilson gets some involvement, but the main thing is I think it's a victory to us. I think I've taken 2-0 to England. Okay,
Steve, what about you? For tonight, it's unchanged team. I think we all reckon anyway. Harry Kane got over his worries about potentially not being fit. His ankle injury looks okay. So everyone's expecting an unchanged team, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game because this is probably the nearer than it was on Monday in terms of more like a Premier League game for the players. They were up against some seasoned pros, some lads who play in the Premier League. Some lads have got vast experience, so that in itself is going to lend it to probably what I was surprised against Iran. I didn't think it would be as physical as it was, but they tried to get stuck in. But I think this will be a different type of physicality. I think the Americans, the USA team, can knock the ball around if they want. I think they can cause a threat. We've just got to watch them down the flanks. I agree with Keith. I thought Trippier had a great game. First game, and I presume that he'll be back in or will keep his place. I can't see anyone actually who in the squad who deserves to be in ahead of him. Where will England be? You look at it and you think, well, a win guarantees us that that's us into the next round, and that's got to be the target. What we don't really want to do is to drop 3 points and then make it what would be a very, very interesting finale, with the Welsh scraping and wanting to pick up point. But I think England, on paper, we should be an awful lot stronger. I don't think we're going to have another 1950 scenario where England end up going and losing 1-0 against what was an amateur team, ostensibly against the USA back in those days. It shouldn't happen. I don't think it will happen. I think England will come away with a 2-0 victory.
Okay, Mitch?
Look, when you play America in any sport, the one thing they're going to be is fit. They're going to have athleticism, and they're going to have a degree of desire. I still have doubts about Americans in defending. I've been over there. I've got friends in Kansas, as people know. I've talked about it. I go over there to see them in Kansas. I go and watch the kids play football, and I'm having some sort of seizure on the touchline while right backs are doing Cruyff turns in their own area and getting applauded for it. The essence of American football teams for me is they genuinely don't know how to defend. And I think if we can get into them and get an early goal and bring them out of their shell, then it's only going to go one way. I think everybody's genuinely underrated that performance against Iran. I think I touched on this in midweek on Geordie's here, Geordie's there. Iran in this region are viewed as a powerhouse of football. People do not want to go to places like Persepolis in the Asian Champions League, because if you go to Iran, you're going to get a tough game. And they know how to play football, they're organised, and they've got no small degree of skill. To put Iran away the way we did was nothing short of outstanding in my view. It wasn't just a good result, it was way better than that. And I think people don't get that. If we can come to this game and apply the same level of application, the same level of desire, we will put the US away. There's no doubt about that. We've got more than enough in the tank. And that's what I would love to see. I think Mark, quite right there, I can't see America scoring against them. And I think it could be another drubbing if we get it right. Because, like I say, they don't set themselves up as good defences. They never do. They don't understand the art of good defence. They think a good defence is, like I say, doing Cruyff turns in your own box. It isn't really genuinely understood and carried across. And I think there's weaknesses there to exploit and then some. And I just hope we just go in with the same attitude that they did with Iran. We should come out with another 3 points easy.
Stu?
But I thought that was awesome what Mitch just said there. Yeah, I said on Wednesday that I think England would win 1-0, but the more I think about it, and the more I've actually looked at the game, I think England will win the World Championship of Soccer more comfortably, because everything that America is involved in is the World Championships, isn't it? Whether it's baseball or their version of American football, whatever. And if the England's talent, the pool of talent that they've got, they should really be wiping the floor with teams like America. And America are organised, and there's a phrase that we use quite often about Newcastle being well drilled. But Newcastle players do have a talent. And if England are let off the leash, no offence, Mr. Hasey, if England are let off the leash a bit, then I can actually see them. I'm seeing them later as well, I shouldn't have said that.
Down, boy!
Yeah, I can see it, yeah, just what Gary's just said there. I can see a 3-0 for England quite comfortably, even a 4-0 if they go for it properly. Yes, that's the power of Jägermeister. So, and I'm only saying this because I know my dad's not watching, so I can get away with it. But England, I think, will win comfortably tonight if they apply themselves properly, because they did a fantastic job the other day, and only England will be England tonight, if that makes sense. They can be overconfident thinking, right, the job's done, but they can get the job done properly tonight, and then they can start resting like the Canes and bring Wilson in for the game against Wales and stuff like that. So I did say 1-0, but I expect 3 or 4-0 tonight now.
Oh, yeah, right. You know, it's interesting what you've all said, because I thought, you know, I mean, the way that we allowed them back into the game, Iran, reminded me a bit of watching that Man United game earlier in the season, where absolutely cruising 6-0, and then they came back. It was so similar. It was men and boys, wasn't it? They were head and shoulders. And you're right. That's why we have to praise the England performance and try and move away from the fact that they let the goals in late on. And I know some people would say, and probably all 4 or 5 of us would say, that Pickford perhaps should have got at least one of those, and that's just because we're a little bit biased towards Nick Pope. But England should be beating this team. I was at I've watched that Sargent who plays up front for them, and he's yeah, exactly. But he's not a very good footballer. I actually saw him play for Norwich against Sunderland earlier in the season, and it was embarrassing, the opportunities that he had that he just couldn't put away. And I slagged him off for about 70 minutes, and then he popped up and scored. So the danger with always when you're talking about England is that you end up in a Brian Clough scenario, as he did with Tomaszewski in those qualifiers in '73, where he slagged off the goalkeeper as being a clown, and then the goalkeeper had a brilliant performance. And that's why I'm very, very wary now in the modern idiom that we speak about a foreign club or a foreign country, and we have a pop at some of their players, and then they come up and have an absolutely brilliant Storm performance. So I think this is something that hopefully Southgate will not fall into the trap of, in terms of briefing his players and briefing the squad as well, because as we said earlier about the length of time a game plays, sometimes his substitutions are going to be important. And when he makes his substitutions, something that I've been critical about Eddie Howe up in the past, and with the game now moving into sort of 100, 120 minutes, and with the heat as well, it is going to be hot, even though the kickoff's at 7 o'clock at night over here in the Middle East. So let's see how it goes.
Good to watch. Be good to watch Pulisic tonight, because against Wales, I was told that last season we went after it. That's what I was told, and I was told that this January there was a chance that he indicated he would be happy to come to Newcastle in January. So a lot of people tipped him to be. But I watched him against Wales, and I've got it. I'm only a fan, and I just say it as I say it. But I didn't really be blown apart with him. I thought he had a moderate game against, and I thought the USA Wales game was very evenly balanced and was massive for them two clubs. And I just thought Pulisic was more average than what I thought. I was expecting a lot more from him. So that's one player I'd like to watch tonight. Christ, I hope I don't jinx it and he gets the first goal. But I don't know. When you look at players that you've been linked with, and you see them, and you sort of, I guess, focusing on them. But that's one player I want to watch tonight and see what he's really about.
Mm-hmm. Okay, going to squeeze Elliot in now. I hear Simply Red have teamed up with Budweiser to release the official Qatar World Cup theme, holding back the beers. Very good, Elliot. Keep them coming, mate. Keep them coming. Ian Hull has messaged us on Twitter. Thanks for this, Ian. He says, a question for you all tonight. He says, as I'll catch up tomorrow with the show. Does anyone else, when hearing Ecuador are playing, shout Ecuador like the mid-90s dance tune by Sash, and then end up with that tune in their head for the rest of the day? Ian, I think you've already started on the Sambucas by the sounds of it, mate. But I know you're
the lyrics were good though, weren't they?
Well, yeah, they were, yeah, but that's a classic, absolute classic. Michael says, what's your views on the added time? He says, at this rate, it's going to be Christmas Eve when the finals are played. Yeah, I mean, it has been a bit mental, hasn't it, Keith, this whole extra time malarkey. We always get something in the World Cup that changes, and I mean, 24 minutes in the England game, wasn't it, the first game?
First thing that struck me was apart from when you go to Liverpool, I don't see any games when you watch Newcastle play with the right amount of minutes. So you sit there and you think how long people's been down. And I remember when Pope got injured, and you look and you count that time up, and you think there's no way they've added the right amount of time on. Well, you only play well. It seems Liverpool, Man United experts and get the right amount of time. But this World Cup, I watched it and I thought, do you know what it is? They are putting somebody else doing it digitally by the time. And the second thing I thought was when I was watching the games, I thought how much the refereeing was wrong and VAR was wrong. And then all of a sudden somebody said, if they're not careful, there's going to be about 6 penalties in every game in this World Cup. Because there's an awful lot of shirt pulling, and they seem to get on top of that early on. And I just thought maybe this World Cup's going to make a lesson of how much real time's added on and how much real time VAR's going to be used. So jury's still out still. I've seen this. I mean, the Wales goalie had to walk. If he's staying on, that would make a mockery of VAR. But the two things that there is I've seen in this World Cup that concerns us is VAR and time. And I hoped that this World Cup was going to do it properly and give the right amount of allotted time and show how much time really does get wasted in a game and how much VAR has been wrongly used.
Okay, Steve, your take on this extra time malarkey that we've got in this World Cup?
Well, we've moved on, haven't we? It wasn't that long ago in a World Cup where when the referee blew for time just as the corner was being taken, if you remember, a famous Welsh referee at that. And now we've got a situation where they just seem to play until the cows come home. I mean, it's really getting to that point, isn't it? 24 minutes. I mean, was it 14 minutes in the first half and 10 minutes in the second? I understand that the goalkeeper was down for a long time in the England game, which again is probably another cause for concern. The very fact that they allowed that to happen, and why there weren't doctors there, and why he wasn't taken off the pitch and moved, and why they didn't move into the protocols that we've been told would be happening. So they're questions that we've got to have answered at some point in time, but I doubt very much we'll ever get them. Keith mentioned the VAR as well. I was in an Irish bar last night, and when Ronaldo went down, I thought the screen was going to go through because to a man and woman in that bar, everybody was screaming that he had dived, and they were gobsmacked that the referee didn't see it like they saw it, and that for me as well. That you're right, Keith. We thought that they had VAR sorted. We thought that there was some decisions that we'd seen early doors in some of the early games, and you thought, good, they've got the hang of this. That we're getting some of the offside decisions that maybe we thought were a little bit suspect. Yeah, but now, I mean, it seems to revert to the type, and the only thing that they're interested is the timekeeping. And it's interesting because I was reading and listening to various commentaries talking. And they were saying that the timekeeping is something that Pierluigi Collina has been desperately wanting to sort out, and he's been wanting to do this for an awful long time. And this World Cup's given him the opportunity. I tell you what, the advertisers must be wondering, when are we going to get the advertising break? When's the advertising? When we're going to get on? And the bloke and the director who's doing the directing must be screaming, and he must be having it hurled at him as well. Because they're thinking we've got all these beer adverts to squeeze in. When are we going to fit them? Oh, hang on, no, I haven't got any beer adverts. I forgot about that. But you know what I mean. So it's. Do you think it'll come into the Premier League? I hope not. I don't know about the rest of you, but I hope not. I hope we come back to some semblance of order when it comes to timekeeping. It could be that we're moving from this era into something next season where we end up with the clock being actually officially stopped and then the game started again. And I know that people have been doing various tests on that at the moment, where games have only been lasting 57, 50, 58 minutes with the ball in play, and that's why they want to stop the clock. But we'll wait to see what happens there. But no, it's a strange situation when a game goes on and on like that, and you get into the realms of 24 minutes added on time.
Neil, Stu, come to you lastly on this before we shut off for the match.
Complex, isn't it? I mean, we were accused last season of wasting time and it being some sort of conspiracy and this, that and the other. Collini's actually made it quite clear what he wants to address. He wants to address time lost for substitutions red and yellow cards, and goal celebrations. And he's made that quite clear. And this is how they want to do it. And then if you add to something like a 5-minute break where the goalkeeper was down and then allowed to play on and then should have been taken off, that absolutely shows a total and utter inconsistency in the concussion protocols, and that needs addressed. And you know that's a big passion of mine. I'll not go on too much about it, but basically they're breaking their own rules doing that. There needs to be an independent doctor who is independent of the two teams who says, get that guy off, you get a free substitution off of it until we decide what we're going to do with him. It's as simple as that, whether it's the goalkeeper, centre-back, centre-forward, whoever. It should be taken out of the manager's hands and made independent, because if somebody has a brain injury as a result of something like that, then, you know, there's lawsuits aplenty going to go on. So I get why it's happening, and if it's that particular bugbear for this World Cup, as long as it's applied consistently throughout the entire tournament, it's no problem. But like VAR, is it going to be applied consistently throughout the whole tournament in every game? And we know it's not, because that's the problem with VAR. It's not the technology, it's the fuckwits who are applying it. And
Stu?
Sorry, the time in the UK, you shouldn't be using that language. I'm really sorry. But,
Go on, Stu. No extra time here, please.
Yeah. Not wanting to finish with a conspiracy, but I'm with Mr. Hasty on something he's mentioned many times. To me, it's a slow integration of the Americanization of the game, stopping and playing this extra time, and it's slowly but surely getting to the way of their way of thinking, and it's driven by advertisements and stuff like that. Yep. But if people are genuinely injured, as Mitch has just said there, take them off, and then do we bring in like what they do in rugby, have an injury substitution where you get like a blood injury substitution where someone can come in, but any rule that gets changed is always there to be abused as well. So we have to respect, to me, the game, and I still think this World Cup there hasn't been any violence or any reported hooliganism. There's been no complaints about the weather, and I just think we should just get on and enjoy it, because we now live in a society where people just look for reasons to moan. And so far, even some of the 0-0 games have been really good games to watch. And we're all football fans, and we all claim to be just football fans. Let's just enjoy the football. And that's the last message I want to give tonight.
Good stuff. I'm back with Ben Jacobs in the morning, 10:30 or 11:30. The professionals with me, Mitch and Stu, will be 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. And looking forward to tonight's game. Enjoy it. Enjoy your night out, chaps. Steve, get your son your Factor 50 on. Me and Keith will just freeze our gonads off in the cold. Julie, I haven't forgotten this week. Bold. Thanks, Alfie. See you next week, guys.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks, Steve.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, starting off with Skips and Bins. Telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. The website is www.skipsandbins.com. Easy, contract free, and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks also to Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD hemp and cannabinoid specialists. Find them at thegohd.com. Thanks also to 3 Properties, and they specialise in sourcing investment properties for their clients who are looking to invest in the Northeast. They offer a full in-house service from sourcing the deals to managing the properties for you. They've done over 100 plus deals in the past 12 months for clients all over the UK. Give them a follow on Instagram, matty.patter_northeast property, and phil.reed_northeast property, or email phil@3property.co.uk if you're interested in getting a good property deal. Big thanks also to Mr. Vicky's sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at mrvickys.co.uk, or order some of the sauces by calling 01768 210 102, or emailing info@mrvickys.co.uk. Thanks also to Blowhole Brewery, and their cans are vast and in the shape of the old Newcastle United strips from the 1990s. Bonnie Blonde, Geordie Juice, and Fog of the Tyne. Some great beers. Get yourself to blowholebrewery.co.uk to order your cans in for the festive period. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things, and thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle. If you want to subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button on the bottom right hand corner, hit the like button and click share. Please join the channel as well to support us. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. If you want to join the channel, you can use this QR code or just go to nufcmatters.com and look for membership pack. If you join in that particular way, you get a scarf, a cup, a pen, and a membership card, and entry into the monthly draw. We also give you a free car sticker. All you need to do is subscribe to the show and then email John at nufcmatters.com to claim it. We also support the food bank on this channel, nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk. Go to that website and make a virtual donation today. A couple of events coming up. Paul Gascoigne is at the Fed on the 4th of December. Contact the Fed in Dunstan and Gateshead for more information. And Peter Beardsley, 20 tickets left for this, is at St Dom's Catholic Club in Newcastle on the 10th of February next year. Contact St Dom's via their contact details on their website or on Twitter. If you're looking for a Christmas present for a Newcastle fan, you can go to badboysbooks.net. You could order a copy of Enemy from the Bender Squad to the Gremlins, or the last remaining copies of Black or White, No Grey Areas by Lee Clark and Will Scott. If you're looking for a Christmas jumper for your night out, go to nufcmatters.com and get your Bruno jumper today.